Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing an LFA 151 breakdown and predictions video. Going to give you guys some betting tips as well, so definitely stay tuned until the end of the video. But besides that, man, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You're going to be getting access to the best predictions, best betting advice on YouTube if you're new. And yeah, let's get into it with this first fight of the night. We got Gabriela Fujimoto. She's taking on Layla, and it's going to be at the strawweight division, and both these girls are relatively young. I think Gabriela Fujimoto is 19 or 20. I'm not sure exactly. And then Layla is 19. And Layla's a decent prospect. I don't think she's really getting any help from her manager or whoever's booking her fights, though, because they keep giving her these real tough matchups. And she fought a 0-0 fighter in her debut. But skill-wise, she was much better than that, and she lost a decision. And instead of taking a step down, she got a really tough opponent here with Gabriela Fujimoto. So she must feel like she's ready to go. She is 2-1, and she had a good amateur career. Maybe she just thinks that it's time for her to get going. But she's only 19 years old. I don't know why they're having her face these tough challenges. And, 2-2 wouldn't be a great record, but she's a Muay Thai girl. She is pretty flat-footed. She walks forward. She's a little plotty, but throws pretty nice kicks from the outside. And then she's nice in the clinch. She has good work in the clinch, good control. Striking overall, I think, is kind of weak, though. I don't really feel like she is, that good with her hands. She tends to just brawl, and her footwork is not the best. So I think she's going to struggle a little bit against good strikers. But she's a good grappler. She does a good job of getting into that clinch and then using that to get it to the ground. And she's gotten a few submissions. She has one finish with ground and pound. And her takedown defense doesn't look the best, though. And I've seen girls take her down pretty easily. But she'll throw up submissions off bottom. I don't really see her having good get-up. She more just plays jiu-jitsu, which can lose you decisions. But her cardio or toughness are there, and you have to be ready for 15 minutes. She's still raw in a lot of areas, but she has potential. And for Fujimoto, I was only able to find one fight of hers, but she looks strong, athletic. She's also very young, like I said, and she went pro last year, November 4th, at LFA 146, and now she's looking to go 2-0 in the promotion. And in the amateur fight I watched of Fujimoto, she fought a 5-1 girl, and she was able to get a pretty quick submission. And she was very deliberate with what she wanted to do. She didn't waste time. She executed the game plan well. She didn't seem keen on striking with her opponent, so she just came forward high guard, threw a couple left hooks, and then clinched up, got the takedown. She showed good strength, technique, and she had a body lock, got on top, finished with the armbar from mount pretty quickly in the first round. And in her debut for the LFA, she got a third-round TKO stoppage with a body kick, so that's good to see because it shows she carries finishing ability in the third round, has some sort of striking danger as well, getting the kick knockout. And her cardio is probably pretty solid. But hitting the pad, she does seem to have fast kicks, knees, straight punches, but haven't really seen her strike in full action yet. But ultimately, I think Fujimoto looks like she's sharper. She looks like the better athlete, a little bit bigger. Both girls I could see having futures in the sport, but right now I think Fujimoto is going to get the win. Layla seemed tough, so I'm not sure if it'll be a decision win or a finish. I'm probably going to be siding on the side of a decision. But at the end of the day, when you look at the betting odds, the betting line for this fight, they got Layla at plus 270, Fujimoto at minus 350, and I just think that's personally way too wide. I would line Fujimoto at like a minus 200, and if she was at the minus 150 range, maybe I'd be interested in her. But now I think the value is on Layla, but for me, it's just a total pass. Layla's coming off a loss. Like I said, I think that they're pushing her a little too fast against good opponents, and I think that even though she has the experience edge over Fujimoto in terms of MMA fights, Fujimoto looks pretty solid. So, dog or pass, but I think Fujimoto will win, and it's a pass for me. But the pick for me is going to be Gabriela Fujimoto by decision. And this next fight, don't really got a lot to say about this one. Tapology's got the classic Chuck Norris, who the fuck is that guy, picture up for Clever Souza. And kind of, the same thing. I have no idea anything about Clever Souza. Couldn't find anything about him online in terms of the fights that he had. I did see he has one knockout loss, one knockout win. He's 1-0 in decisions. And I wasn't able to find anything really on Michael Oliveira, not too much either. But the small footage that I did find of him, he looked like a beast. He looked like a knockout artist. So I think he's going to go out there and get another first round finish, I would say. He impressed me in the short footage that I saw of him. but really have nothing to say about this fight. Oliveira is actually a pretty decent favorite at minus 650. So I think other people are kind of thinking the same thing as me. But can't really give a big breakdown for this one, but I'm going to go with Oliveira by first round knockout. And this next fight, kind of similar to the last one, not really a lot to go off of. I couldn't find any of Joabs and Alves' fights, but it looks like a fight where they're trying to set up Manuel Robson Minodo keep winning. Manuel Robson Minodo is a former pro kickboxer. He has quite a bit of experience, and for Alves, he's making his pro debut off of back-to-back amateur losses, so I don't really know what to think of him. Minodo has the momentum. He's coming off a sub-1 minute knockout win in his pro debut at LFA 146. For Alves, his one win was a KO in 6 seconds, so he's shown the ability to be explosive, so you can't totally rule him out, but I think Minodo definitely is probably going to go out there and dust him in the first round. Seems like a setup fight to me, and at minus 750, I mean, the line seems appropriate, kind of where it is. I think he's going to go out there and probably dominate this fight. Like, having not seen Alves fight at all, I mean, maybe he'll go out there and look like a total beast, but Robson is the guy that's the product that we know about, and I think he'll probably be able to just get him out of there quickly. They haven't opened up totals for this fight, but I think the under 1.5 rounds potentially could be a good play if it's at a good number. And, besides that, I don't really have much to say about it. Alves did lose by decision in both of his losses as an amateur, so he's never been finished, but 3 fights, small sample size, and I think against a experienced kickboxer, it could be the time that he gets knocked out or gets finished. So I think the under could potentially be at a good price if they open that market. But maybe if it's like under minus 150, minus 175, you could bet it. But anything over that, I would just pass on this fight completely. And unless you want to throw Robson in some, fun parlays or something. In this next fight, we got 2 grapplers here. Lucas Escobar, he looks like a tough wrestler. Striking doesn't really look very good. He just aggressively comes forward with overhands and tries to get the clinch and then get clinch takedowns. And he's willing to pull guard as well, but kind of sloppy. I've seen him lose position multiple times and doesn't really look like he's the best off his back. His cardio does look pretty good, but I've seen him knocked out before, and he was against the ropes against Rodrigo Almeida. So right now it seems like he's been able to get by on his ability to be aggressive, hit takedowns, and push the pace, but has to polish his game up quite a bit. And for Souza Galindo, unfortunately I wasn't able to find any full fight to his, but he does look athletic in the clips that I've seen. He's a black belt. Looks like he has pretty good submission game, and his striking, in the highlight videos that I've seen looks okay. So I think he's probably going to be able to win this fight with his grappling. I'm going to say he wins via first-round submission, but I'm not really confident at all. I mean, he's a jiu-jitsu guy that I haven't really seen fight in MMA, so he could just get held down by Escobar, who's a decent wrestler. But they got him lined at a minus 600, so they must know something that I don't know about this guy. So, I mean, I'm fairly confident off that line that he should win. I mean, he is undefeated in MMA and all that. He's fought in LFA a couple times, so he should probably get the win here. But this is one I kind of feel like maybe you could put a little bit of money on Escobar and maybe get lucky, but I wouldn't put much, and I wouldn't bet on it really. Just maybe like $5-10 or something. I don't know, but I just don't have much confidence in who I think is going to win this fight, just because I haven't seen enough of Galindo. But I'm going to say that he wins via first round submission in this one. And now we're getting into some better fights here. With Barao, he's going to be taking on Lucas Barros. And Barao, he's strong, he's stocky. He forged himself through the fire, too. He's been in some tough fights. He's figured out how to come back and win in some fights. And he's gotten 2 regional titles in Brazil. Quick turnaround for him. This is going to be the second month in a row. He fought December 3rd. Now he's fighting in January. And his style is pretty solid. On the feet, he has good kicks. He'll counter with hooks, overhands, and he has power. He's explosive. In the clinch, he throws big knees. He's strong there. He's good at doing damage in the clinch, and you also try to get on the back from standing. He could struggle versus pressure fighters with good hands. His defensive wrestling seems a little bit weak. In his fight with Khalidisi Brito, he got pressured and hit a lot with the hands of Brito, and Brito was able to force some bad takedowns and stuff him and get on top, and had a lot of success controlling Barao on the ground. But Barao got lucky in that fight to win because his opponent was dominating the fight but then didn't want to answer the bell after round 3. Barao was able to kind of come back in the late second, showed some heart, and I guess the time where he hurt him with the knee at the end of the second round made him not want to come out to the third. So Barao is a guy that can survive through toughness. He's never lost, and he has pretty good kicks, good clinch game. He has solid takedowns, good rear naked chokes, but if you could pressure him and stuff his takedowns in box, he's a little bit of trouble, and if you could take him down and hold him down, he could be in a little bit of trouble. But for Lucas Barros, he's more one-dimensional. On the feet, he doesn't really offer much at all. He throws big overhands. His defense is not good, and if you could stop his wrestling, he doesn't have too much else to offer. He embraces the grind. He'll look to shoot doubles, push fighters against the cage, and eventually he finishes a lot of his takedowns along the fence, but I don't really see him send his takedowns up too well in his fights. He doesn't have the most technical wrestling. It's just his doggedness that lets him get the fights to the mats eventually. And he has the cardio to grind it out, and he's finished the majority of his wins, but it's come against really low-level competition. So I think as he continues to fight better opposition, his win method is going to be more decision-based. But I think Barao has a sizable edge on the feet. Neither guy is great there, so I think it's going to be more of a grappling match, and I think Barao sets his takedowns up a little better. I think he's a little stronger in the clinch, does more damage there. And I think doing more damage in the fight is how Barao is going to be able to get the win. He's also shown an ability to grind. He has good cardio. He has more experience in longer fights. He's been to 2 decisions. And, I feel like unless Barao gets tired and gets held against a cage or held down on the ground, I think that he's probably going to be able to do enough to get the win. So I'm fairly confident in Barao in this one. I think that he's someone that you could parlay and potentially, get the win on. But at minus 550, I don't really think that the value is that great. I mean, I lined him at much lower. So I feel like, you could throw him in a parlay or two, but I don't see him having a lot of value. And I would not bet him straight or anything like that. But I do think he's a pretty fair chance to win, and I'm going to say that he gets the win via decision. And we got our second women's fight on the card here with Pamela Mara. She's going to be taking on Alexia Tainara. And Pamela Mara, she's looking to bounce back. She actually suffered her first defeat in over 5 years last May. She started her career 0-2-1. She got match made with some hammers in her first 3 fights. She faced Bruna Ellen, who's currently ranked in Bellator. She faced Bianca Sotomayor, who was very experienced at the time they fought. And she fought a current UFC fighter, Bruna Brazil, in her first 3 fights. But after those 3 fights, she went on a 6-fight winning streak. She won 2 bouts in the Brazilian regional scene. And her last fight, she lost a decision to a 4-1-1 opponent. And now she's getting to start anew here and look to make good of this big opportunity, which is the LFA. And Alexia Tainara, she's also going to be making her LFA debut. She's 7-1. She's also exclusively fought in Brazilian regional scene promotions. And she's also earned 2 championship belts in Brazilian regional scene fights. So both these girls are former champs. And she's padded her record with their first 5 wins. They came against debuting fighters. But she does have an impressive victory against Ryan Amanda. And one of her losses also came to Bruno Brazil, who's a good fighter. And that fight happened in November of 2019, her loss to Brazil. And since then, she's gone 5-0 with 4 finishes. And I think she's going to be looking to try to run through Mara, make a statement that she's ready for the next level. For Pamela Mara, she's a counter striker. On the feet, she has good footwork. She likes to counter with the left hook or the straight right hand. Her hands are fast, and she has good leg kicks, but her king game isn't really a big part of what she does. Her wrestling defense looked bad in her last fight. Her get-up game was not there either. She got held down for the majority of the fight. Her cardio is good, but not great, and her movement definitely slows down as fights go on, and she starts to become more hittable. She doesn't slow down entirely. She could pick up second win. She's someone that's finished fights in the 3rd and 4th round, but I feel like unless her opponent's gas, she's a decisionator, and she slows down herself a little bit. And for Alexia Tainara, she's athletic. She's improving quickly. Her striking has gotten better in the last couple years by a large margin. And on the feet, she's a pressure fighter, good movement. She bounces in out of range. She can cut the cage off well. She throws nice 1-2s, big overhands. Her kicks are still developing, but she's a good grappler. She wants to get the clinch and use the judo to get it to the mat. And from there, she has effective ground and pound. She won't have to worry about this here more than likely, but she has been taken down in a couple of her other fights. She will work hard to get back up, though. And as far as the ground game goes, I think she has the big edge there. Has a decent submission game, and I think she can find the submission if she can get it to the ground. Cardio-wise, I think Tainara has the much better cardio, and she pushes a higher pace. And the pick for me is going to be Alexia Tainara by sub. I think she can pressure outstrike Mara, get her tired, hit takedowns, and then find that submission. And looking at the current line here, where both these girls are lined at, you see Pamela Mara. She is a plus 340, and they got Tainara at a minus 440, where I think that line's a little bit juiced, but that's another one where I think that it's a decent parlay piece. Like, I think Barao and Tainara right now are probably the two most safe parlay pieces, I would say. And, Tainara inside the distance, if they open that, or the under 1.5 rounds or under 2.5 rounds, if it's plus money, I think that's also potentially worth a bet. So I got to go with Alexia Tainara here. She's younger. She's actually significantly younger. Mara's age isn't on Tapology, but she's 35 or 36, and I think that Tainara is going to go out there and make a statement, get the finish. So I'm going to go with Alexia Tainara by submission. And this next fight, we got Mateus Rocha. He's taking on Jefferson Nascimento. And Mateus Rocha is 8-0 so far. He went 3-0 as an amateur. He's 5-0 as a pro so far. And he's a counter striker who likes to fight on the outside. He'll try to land his counter crosses, his check hooks. He has big power, good extension on his punches as well. And he has a good jab, solid kicks. He uses those to set up the bigger shots. And from what I've seen, he isn't a big combination guy, but he has that one-shot power. Tends to give up the center, allow fighters to back him up really easily. In both fights I found of his, he spent time pressed against the cage. His takedown defense and grappling looked questionable also. Cardio-wise, he does do a good job staying composed, and he can maintain his stamina. But overall, I wasn't ultra impressed, even though he's dangerous with the one-punch knockout power, the accuracy. He's going to have to rely on finishes to win. He's low volume. He gives up the center. His grappling, his wrestling are suspect, and I don't really trust him that much. But for Jefferson Nascimento, he's 8-0 as a pro, and he slowly upped his competition level. Primarily competed for Shooto Brazil, but he does have one appearance in the LFA already. And his first 5 opponents had losing records, but his last 3 have came against pretty solid opposition. And this is going to be the first undefeated fighter who Nascimento has faced, so it's going to be a new challenge. And Nascimento is well-rounded. He likes to mix it up on the feet. He has good movement, pretty fast. He'll bounce around on the outside, work kicks, work counter punches. On the inside, he's willing to brawl, which he should stay away from that in this fight. He needs to be a little bit more disciplined. He'll mix in elbows on the inside. Solid defense, and I haven't really seen him get hit all too much. In this fight, he's facing a dangerous counter-striker who's flash power, so I would go with the game plan of taking him down, and he can do that. Nascimento's strong, good job, solid doubles, good clinch entries for the clinch takedowns, and he has good control on top. Recently, he got a Runica choke win. He was good at hunting the back, and he should look to make his opponent think it's going to be a striking match here, and then level change, get him down. And on top, in this fight, I think he should have the edge. 2 of his last 3 wins, he's finished by submission, so he's getting confident and better at finishing on the ground. And his cardio is good. He has more experience against better opponents in comparison to Rocha. And I think that Jefferson Nascimento, unless he gets caught and knocked out, should win this fight. He has much more experience against better competition. There's a lot more volume on the feet. He's defensively responsible. He has the edge in the wrestling and the grappling department. And I think he should look to take the path of least resistance here, takedowns, control, work towards a submission. I'm not sure how good or not good Mateus Rocha's jiu-jitsu is, but I wouldn't rule out a submission win for Nascimento. And I'm actually going to pick Nascimento to hit a sub in round 1 or 2 here. He's been getting submissions lately, and I think he should have a sizable edge on the mat from what I've seen. And I actually was thinking that Nascimento was going to open at the line that he ended up being, which was, or where he's at currently, which is at like a minus 225, but I actually got him at a minus 110 and was able to bet him. So that's something that if you're on the Patreon, you could definitely get access to those type of bets. Now at him at minus 225, I don't really see the value there, even though I think Nascimento is going to win. I think Rocha is a pretty dangerous guy, so anything over minus 200, I think you're kind of rolling the dice. I don't think there's enough value there to warrant a bet, but if you can somehow and you see the line coming down on Nascimento at under like a minus 175, I think he's definitely worth a play there, and I think he's going to be able to get the job done by being the more diverse fighter, mixing it up, getting it to the ground, and finding that submission. And this next fight, I don't think it's as good as the last couple fights that we've been talking about. We got Marco Silva. He's taking on Oliveira. And Marco Silva, he's 7-1. He's riding a 4-fight winning streak into his LFA debut. And recently, he did beat some good opponents. He beat Glyco Franco, who's a UFC PFL veteran. He beat a couple of 6-1 fighters. And this is the biggest promotion he's fought on in his career, so it's going to be his time to shine here and get a big win. And he's going to be facing off against an extremely experienced journeyman in Oliveira. Oliveira has fought a total of 55 times, and the amount of times he's fought per year is pretty astonishing, as he's only been a pro since 2014. He's had a lot of fights he probably shouldn't have fought against really good competition, and then he's also beaten a lot of low-level fighters, so he's kind of had a mixed record competition-wise. Currently, he's on a 2-fight winning streak, and he's a tough guy to deal with just because he's so big. He's 6'5", looks like he has okay striking. I can only find one fight of Oliveira's, and he got taken on pretty early and submitted, so it wasn't I don't remember if he got submitted or TKO, but he got finished on the ground, and wasn't really indicative of what he could do. It seems like he's a knockout guy, and for Marco Silva, the footage that I saw of his, I wasn't really super impressed. He does seem like he's strong, has pretty good striking, and he can get it to the ground. So I'm going to pick Silva because I think he's more well-rounded, and he has probably the hunger to get the win a little bit more. And he trains out of Shootbox Diego Lima, which is a great gym, so they're going to have him ready. So I'm going to say he wins via first-round submission or knockout. But as far as a bet, I'm not interested because I really wasn't impressed with Silva, and he's a huge favorite at -500. So if anything, I mean, maybe you could take a flyer on Oliveira, but Oliveira has a real iffy record. It seems like whenever he gets a step up in level of competition, he tends to lose. So an untrustworthy guy. So I think you have to go with the fighter out of the better camp that is shown a higher propensity to win against better opposition. So I got to go with Marco Silva here, and I'm going to say he gets it done in the first round. And this next fight should be a fun one with Mateus Bronze taking on Marciano Ferreira. And two strikers here. Mateus Bronze is a tall, long, lanky fighter. He likes to counter-strike, bounce around on the outside, stay active with his leg kicks, front kicks, mix in some knees. He'll look for check hooks, right hands. And if he's struggling to land or be effective with his counter game, he will pressure forward and try to pull counter, make it more of a war. And he's accurate. He hits hard. He isn't a great wrestler or grappler, but he has good front chokes when fighters shoot bad takedowns on him. And cardio-wise, he has good cardio and good volume. For Marciano Ferreira, he's a Muay Thai fighter. He likes to plod forward, look to land leg kicks, counter crosses, big hooks. He'll throw nice left hooks to the body, to left hook to the head combos, good power. He is a guy that if you brawl with him, you can usually find that button and knock you out. I do think he's going to struggle a little bit with the movement and that left hook of Bronze. But for his wrestling and grappling, I don't think he's going to play a factor. I think he's going to keep it stand up and try to tough through that and get those leg kicks, slow Bronze down, make it a war, and eventually knock him out. And he's going to stay in the fight. I mean, cardio-wise, toughness-wise, Ferreira's a real durable guy. But I think the length and the footwork is going to make the difference in the striking battle. I think it's going to be competitive. And currently when I look at the line, and I could see where they have Bronze at a -175, Ferreira at a +145. There's been a lot of money that did come in on Marciano Ferreira, and I do understand why, because I do think when they initially opened the line, he was at a +215 and Bronze was at -275. That was a little bit too wide. Currently, I'm still signing on the side of Bronze, so I'm not looking at a bet, especially at 145, +145 for Ferreira. But if Bronze gets down into that -150 range, then I think I could warrant a bet on him there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at now, just to see exactly where he's going to end up finishing. But my pick is going to be Bronze by decision, and I think that if he gets down to that -150 range, he's bettable at that point. And right now he's at like -175. So it's getting close, and just got to monitor the line to see if it gets to the right price where I can bet it. But I'm going to go with Mateus Bronze by decision. And this next fight features the most recognizable name on the card, with the Brazilian Conor McGregor, Jonas Villarino, getting in there. He's going to be fighting against Kyle Machado, who also has a pretty good resume, fighting over in CFFC and other promotions like that. But this should be an excellent fight. It's a battle of two experienced guys, two credentialed fighters. Both fighters are strikers, and their styles should mesh really well. Kyle Machado, he looked very good in his last fight, specifically with his boxing. I would say he leveled up. He's a pressure boxer who wants to get in his opponent's face, brawl. And Jonas Villarino, he's a striker as well, but much more of a sniper. He's creative. He mixes it up with all his weapons. And Machado is more one-dimensional with the boxing, but both fighters don't really like to go to the ground, and they've had issues with wrestlers. I think Villarino is superior in that realm, and I think he's bigger, but probably won't take it that route. This should be a good old-fashioned slugfest. And with Kyle Machado, he likes to get in the pocket, go to war. He's really good at digging to the body and then coming up to the head. And he has a good jab, keeps a very high work rate, solid chin, takes damage to give damage, and tires opponents out. His footwork isn't the greatest. He does rely on fighters to stand in front of him or get tired and start to slow down on the footwork, and he can be flat-footed. He also holds his hands low, and he's pretty hittable. He's been knocked out 3 times, but he also has 8 knockout wins, so when he gets in firefights, he's won more often than not. Cardio-wise, he pushes a very high pace. He can go for 15 minutes hard. His volume will go down as the fight goes on, but he maintains such a high pace that it doesn't really matter. And Villarino is a long fighter with good footwork. He likes to bounce out on the outside. He can switch stances. He controls distance, gets his reads really quickly in the fights, and then he does a good job staying active with kicks. He has good counter hooks, counter crosses, dangerous knees, dangerous elbows, but he can leave a lot to be desired when it comes to volume, and he does only need to find that one shot to get it done. He has some highlight reel knockouts, but with a guy like Machado who throws a lot out there, if he can't get the knockout, it going to decision definitely favors Machado. But Machado is a guy who pressures forward, is hittable, and it's something that, footwork-wise, distance control, Villarino should be able to walk him into a lot of shots. And if Villarino lands perfect on the button with one of his kill shots, he could knock him out. Cardio-wise, Villarino has been 5 rounds, and he does a good job staying composed throughout the fight. And I think it's a good matchup for Villarino to get a flashy knockout with a counterpunch, a kick, or a knee. And if he can't do that, though, I think Machado's going to outwork him. So I do think it's a fairly close fight. But looking at the line currently, it's almost getting to the point where they're almost forcing me on a bet on Villarino. Originally, he was the underdog when the fight first came out, which I would have loved to have gotten in on him there. But then he got ballooned up to a pretty big favorite, and now he's back at a -115 price tag, where I'm kind of eyeing a bet on Villarino, but I'm waiting for them to open the totals, because if they do open the under, or they do open Villarino by knockout, and it's at a better number, that could be potentially the route that I go instead. But I would line Villarino at like a -175, so I do think that he has some value for sure at around -115, and if you bet on him, I think it'd be a pretty good bet. I just feel like Machado's too hittable, and I think that Villarino is going to find that knockout shot at one point during the fight. He's been knocked out 3 times, Machado, and I just see it happening again here. He is, a good boxer, but I just think he leaves too many openings to be hit. So I got to go with Villarino here to get the knockout in the second round, and I think at the current odds, he is a pretty good bet. And this next fight is a short notice fight, but it's a pretty good fight. Nelson Castro was originally supposed to be fighting Roosevelt Roberts, which would have been a big name for him, a former UFC fighter. But Roberts pulled out. Now he's taking on Anderson Ferreira on pretty short notice. But it's going to be a kickboxing fight more than likely. Both these guys are fun to watch to keep it standing. And something has to give in this one, because both these guys like to control the center and exchange in the pocket. And Anderson Ferreira, he's real tall, long. He's a lanky fighter. He has much more of a Muay Thai style. Good footwork and side-to-side movement for a Muay Thai guy, though. But he likes to move around, throw kicks, then explode with big knees, punches. He's really aggressive. Good job targeting the body. Defense isn't the greatest, though. He can run into shots. He's been knocked out in a few fights. And he has good but not elite power. He's wild. It's produced some finishes in MMA, but most of his wins haven't been against great competition. And wrestling and grappling-wise, it doesn't look like Ferreira has much to offer there. Cardio-wise, Ferreira does have good cardio. For Nelson Castro, he's a good boxer. Pressures, good jab, good leg kicks, wants to get fighters into exchanges with him. He's long. He'll throw good pull counters, good defense, mix in counter knees. And his last fight, he did get dropped with the head kick, but he battled back and made it very competitive. And he's been finished by strikes just once in his second fight in 2015, so very durable fighter. More of a decision fighter, as he doesn't have that one-shot power, but he throws a lot of volume. He doesn't grapple offensively, but he does have good defensive grappling skills. I think he's definitely the superior fighter on the ground. He hasn't fought in over a year, so potentially he could come in here, surprises, hit a takedown, and get the submission, but he's never really showed offensive grappling in the past. He has several finishes with submissions off his back, but none from top position. His cardio is on point. He pushes the pace. He's won 13 fights in a row in MMA, so he's hoping the good times keep on rolling. He's fought his last few fights in Russia against more wrestling-based fighters, so I'm sure he's excited to go out there and get in a striking war. He actually fought in a kickboxing fight last year, and he lost that fight, but he got to knock the rust off in a striking battle, and I think it's going to be a similar type of fight in this one, except against a lesser opponent. I think it should be entertaining, but I think Castro's going to win because his defense is better. He's less wild. I think he can land counters, keep combos on Ferreira to stymie his offense, and it's going to be an interesting fight, though, because Ferreira's super tall. He's 6 foot, which it could play a factor along with the layoff for Castro, but I'm going to say Castro either gets a KO TKO or a club and sub win because of Ferreira's recklessness. I'm going to say, as an official pick, a second round knockout for Castro. Ferreira's coming in on short notice as well, so that's also another reason why I'm favoring Castro. It's very short notice for Ferreira, I believe. So, I think Mohsen Castro's going to go in here and get the finish, and I'm going to say he gets it done via KO TKO. And now we got the co-main event. It's for inaugural strawweight title here in the LFA between Julia Polastri and Brenda Godig. And this fight is a bit of a tough one because Brenda Godig, she looks skilled and talented everywhere, but her level of opposition has been weak. For Julia Polastri, she's fought much better fighters, but she's been up and down performance-wise. Godig, she's never lost amateur or pro, and she just won a regional belt in her last fight. All but one of her fights have been in Argentina, so coming to Brazil in enemy territory is going to be something new for her. Julia Polastri, she has 2 wins in a row coming into this fight. She should be pretty confident. She got a win over Kalindra Faria, who's a UFC veteran in a recent fight too. And Brenda Godig, she has, I don't know her actual height because it wasn't listed, but she looks like she's pretty tall and she has a good reach for the division. And on the feet, she throws nice 1-2s, good front knees. She pressures, she can control distance. I haven't seen her in there against a fighter who's going to be throwing the kind of shots that Polastri would throw at her, though. But Julia Polastri is more of a brawler, very aggressive, holds her hands low and comes forward. She'll try to invite exchanges. She throws a lot of kicks, and she'll attack body head with combinations. But her defense is bad. She can run into punches. It seems like she's gotten a little bit better with that. But, it being 5 rounds, I think she's going to eventually resort back to her old ways. And 5 rounds should suit Polastri, though, because she has more experience in longer fights. She has good cardio, and Godig has only been to 1 decision in her career. I don't really know how the striking will play out, to be quite honest, because I think Godig has superior technical striking. She has the length advantage, but Polastri is going to bring that aggression, creativity, and volume, and that could play out to her advantage over 5 rounds. Wrestling-wise, Godig does a good job using her strikes to set up the doubles, and that takedown should be available against a pressure fighter. In the clinch, I think Polastri may be able to manhandle Godig a bit, hit some takedowns, but I think Godig's defensive wrestling is a little bit questionable. Both girls to me don't have the best defensive wrestling, but I would say Godig sets her takedowns up better, and grappling-wise, whoever is on top I think is going to win the fight, as is the case in most female MMA fights. I think Godig has a better chance of finishing on the ground, and both fighters probably will be able to hold each other down. But due to the level of competition, this fight being 5 rounds and Polastri being at home, I'm going to edge it towards her. But I really wouldn't be surprised to see Godig get the upset here. As a pure pick, I'm going to have to go with Polastri. I'm just going to say she uses her athleticism or aggression to force it into the later rounds and then gets a TKO. But I actually did put a bet down here on Brenda Godig, and this is another reason why being on the Patreon pays, man, especially when you're into these shows, because the lines change pretty drastically. And I was able to get a bet in on Godig at plus 235, whereas now she's at a plus 130. So I think I got tremendous value, and we'll see what happens. So I think Brenda Godig has the skill advantage, and that's kind of what I'm baking on in terms of the bet. I think that she has a lot of value at that line that I did get. It's just if she's going to step up to the plate and be able to win against this level of opponent. So it's kind of a show-me type of fight for Brenda, but I think that she has the skills to get the win, and that's why I did put the bet on her. But as a pure pick, I'm just going to pick Polastri by a 3rd-round TKO. And the main event here is going to feature another title fight with Jose Delano. He's going to be taking on Gabriel Santos. And with Jose Delano, he's wrecked shop in the LFA so far. He joined the promotion at LFA 126 in March of 2022. Started his tenure with an upset win over Jonas Villarino. He won the LFA title with that win. Followed it up by defending the title against Michael Stack. And he jumped in the featherweight tournament in his last fight, so it was only a 3-round fight. He got the 1st-round knockout win with a knee. And now something has to give as he's putting his 11-fight win streak against Gabriel Santos' 9-fight win streak, and we'll see what happens. For Gabriel Santos, is going to be his second fight in the LFA. He's going to be looking to move to 2-0 and win the tournament. And Santos overall is a perfect 9-0 to start his career. He's taken a step up in competition for this fight, but he should be ready. He trains at Evolu Kyle Thai, which is a high-level gym in Brazil. He's a former Future FC champion, which is a pretty good promotion in Brazil. And he's faced some fighters with good records, and even at 23, he should be a stiff test for the champ here. This is going to be a 5-round fight. And it's a high-level fight, two fighters I could see in the UFC in the future. Gabriel Santos is the more explosive athlete. On the feet, he comes in with a lot of kicks, blitz attacks. Jose Delano is more technical and deliberate, forward pressure Muay Thai style. He holds his hands low. I think he's one of these guys that stands orthodox but is left-handed because he throws a lot of left hooks and lead hand attacks. And he has good ability to cut the cage off, pressure, and make it more of a close-range fight. Throw leg kicks, front kicks, left hooks, straight rights, and he mixes it up to the body, keeps the volume really high, and he has very good defense and good power. And I think Gabriel Santos is going to have to wrestle here. On the feet, he has that explosiveness, but I don't think he has the technicality to deal with a striker with the acumen of Delano. And Delano is a solid grappler. He has good defensive wrestling especially. And he does a good job getting the underhooks to deny takedowns, reverse clinch position. He was able to stuff the majority of the takedowns against an American wrestler like Michael Stack. Michael Stack did get him down a couple times, but couldn't do anything to him on the ground. And Gabriel Santos, he has a nice double. He's strong, he's explosive, and he's going to be looking for that. If he can get it to the ground, then I think the fight's going to be competitive. If he can't hit takedowns, then I think that Delano is going to slow cook him and Santos will be in trouble. On the ground, Delano does do a good job of retaining guard. He'll attack guillotines to create scrambles. His get-up game isn't super strong, though, and if Santos comes in with a smother and control game plan, he could get it done, but Santos is usually aggressive when he gets to the ground and tries to hunt submission over position. I've seen him lose position trying to attack the back on multiple occasions, and if he can't get it to the mat and control in 3 out of the 5 rounds, I don't really see a path to victory for him. I don't think a submission or a knockout is that likely. Delano's a very tough, experienced guy. He just needs to do what he does here. Stay patient, pressure, stuff the takedowns. Cardio-wise, I think both guys have strong cardio, but Delano's is better. And I'm impressed with Jose Delano. I think he can come into the UFC and do well. So I'm going to pick Delano to take a decision on this one. I think Santos may get a takedown or two early, but over time I think he's going to get broken down. And I think Delano is going to win a majority of these rounds. So I'm going to go with Jose Delano by decision. And as far as the line goes, when you're looking at him at a minus 355, I think that line is way out of whack. He opened at a much closer line, and it got blown out the water. So I think that was the correct thing. I would line him at like over minus 200 or close to minus 200, but at the current line, I can't really warrant a bet on him. I think that if you look at the over, that could potentially be a good bet. Or I think Delano's another one of these guys that you could parlay, though. I think that he has decent value. So the fighters that I'm most confident on, like if you want to do a parlay, a big parlay for the card, would be Delano, Tainara, Barao, and Michael Oliveira, probably Robson, Minodo as well. So those 5 people, I think, if you want to do a long parlay like that, those would be the 5 people that I would justify betting on. Besides that, I kind of gave you what I think about all the betting lines and the value there and the 2 bets that I did make already. So if you want to get on the Patreon and see the bets that I'm going to make when they drop the totals for LFA, or some of the money line bets that I do end up dropping for PFL or Fury or ACA this week, or the UFC in the future, or all these other events in the future, then definitely go to patreon.com/MMA Prediction Guru. Hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. And besides that, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.